is it best to run forefoot strike? Is it best to run heel strike? Is it best to run midfoot strike? Sean and I have always kind of taken the midfoot stance, not because it's between the two, but because, we have our mechanical reasons for talking about that. And
you talked about it on the blog today. Why don't you just kind of update people on that? That was a part of our blog piece today.
I'm trying to remember which one it was. I know I had one yesterday about newbies. Oh, you're right. There was the new midfoot strike study that just came out, and it supported basically that maybe midfoot strike is better. There was a piece 2 days ago on Wednesday's post talking about people that are newer runners are heel strikers, and as they gain more experience, they become more midfoot to forefoot strikers. So, you and I personally, and I think I can speak for both of us, are not super fans of forefoot striking, mostly because if you have any forefoot abnormality whatsoever, a varus or a valgus, in other words, the forefoot is inverted or everted with respect to the rear foot, and there's a lack of flexibility and a lack of muscular competence in the foot, if you strike on your forefoot, you're going to exacerbate or you're going to accentuate that abnormality, and that's going to come out. If you have a forefoot varus that's somewhat rigid, in other words, your forefoot is inverted with respect to your rear foot, and you strike, the outside of your foot's going to hit the ground before the inside of your foot. And as soon as the ground, because you have to strike somewhere, you can't just strike on one point and continue to move forward. As you try to get to that big toe side, you're going to have a adductory moment of the lower extremity with internal spin. That's going to stress the knee and it's going to stress the hip. It's going to stress the knee from a ligamentous standpoint. It's going to stress some of the posterior compartment muscles because they're trying to decelerate the motion. And it's going to stress the hip because it needs to decelerate the extremity as it's striking the ground. So you're going to strike a little bit more, you're going to strike laterally a little bit more aggressively, maybe a little bit more pronounced and longer. And then when you finally drop that forefoot varus, the medial side of that tripod or the big toe side or the medial side of the foot down, that's going to be rather aggressive, right? It's going to drive a lot of internal rotation. And we see a lot of people. And again, it depends upon your anatomy. Yeah. So for some folks, that might actually be a good gait, and for some folks that may not be a good gait. And I could say for sure it's certainly a gait that causes problems. In some folks, and the same could be said for a valgus. With heel striking, we have basically all the scientific studies that show that forefoot impact or forefoot striking has less initial impact force than heel striking, and that's a fact. We've looked at a lot of studies for that. But is that necessarily a bad thing? And I don't really know the answer, and I'm not trying to say that one is better over the other. They're different, and I think that if your body is able to compensate, in other words, you have an intact motor system, your nervous system's intact, your muscles are competent, then you're going to strike most efficiently. And we like to think that we always know what's best for our bodies, but maybe in some cases we don't, and those are the individuals that end up in our offices.